Do you struggle with your breath control when you're doing voiceover work? I've got 5 tips that I know will help you improve your breath control. Let's dive right in. I do a lot of audiobook narration, and I think that has been a big key factor for me in really getting control of my breathing habits. But, recently, I was in a, live session with someone, and I was working on, some promos, and they're, like, anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds long, and I was going through one, and, it was a bold promo, so it was you take a deep breath and you put a lot of oomph into the voice, and, I got through the whole read, and he said, "Did you do that in one breath?" And I didn't even think about it. I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "It's okay to breathe, but holy cow, how did you do that in one breath?" And I thought that was the first time that I ever really thought about, well, where do my breath control skills come from? So I'm going to give you these 5 samples real quick, and I think they'll make a huge difference for you. One is practice breathing exercises. Engage in breathing exercises like inhaling deeply for a count of 4, hold for 4, and then exhale slowly for a count of 4. That exhale nice and slow. It's control over all of it. Expand these counts gradually as you become more comfortable. You'll find it makes a big difference. 2 is controlled exhalation. Just like I said, it's controlling, right? So work on controlling that release of your breath. Avoid sudden bursts of air when speaking or when you're recording, especially. Practice speaking longer sentences while controlling that exhalation. 3 is consistent practice. That's why I think audiobooks have had a big impact on my breath control. Regularly practice breathing exercises and incorporate them into your warm up routine before recording or performing. This helps condition your respiratory system. 4 is physical exercise. Engage in physical activities that improve cardiovascular health. Improved fitness leads to better breath control. And can I just add a side note that the more successful you become as a voice artist, the more time you'll spend in the studio, especially if you do a lot of long form narration like I do. I could easily be in here for hours at a time, and sometimes I stand, sometimes I sit. But let me tell you, it is so important that we get our butts out of the studio and get some physical exercise. When I went full time as a voice artist, I literally felt like my body became jello. So I try to make sure that I am exercising every day and a couple of times throughout the day just to do some short. It's not uncommon for me to step outside, take the dogs for a walk, come in the house, and do some push ups. It's just that physical exercise is physically needed, but it's also really valuable for getting that breath control. And 5, of course, what every doctor will always tell you is hydration. Keep yourself hydrated. It helps maintain the flexibility of your vocal cords and aids in better breath control. I heard years ago that Whitney Houston used to run on a treadmill while singing to work on her breath control. And that was, like, when I was a kid, but it always I think every time I would sing, I sang a lot in choir throughout high school and stuff like that, and that thought would always come back to me in the back of my mind, just picturing her with that amazing voice, running on a treadmill, belting out one of her famous songs. I've always held that in the back of my mind, so anyway, that was kind of a squirrel moment, but that is my, picture of really, really learning that breath control is can I run on a treadmill and sing a song? Probably not. But I can record audiobooks. I can narrate audiobooks for an extended amount of time and not have that big right? That you hear that especially with new artists until you really get comfortable behind the microphone. I think a lot of times it's a lack of comfort as well that really causes a lot of breath control issues. Once you learn to relax, like, when you talk to your friends, you're not saying, "So, how are you doing today?" "I'm really good." "How have you been?" "Isn't the weather nice today?" If we did that, they would think there was something extremely wrong with us, right? And of course, that's an exaggeration, but when you are first getting into this narration, you will do that. Sometimes you read and I think you forget to breathe, and then there's those big breaths and that just yes, you can edit it out. But who wants to? Once you get that breath control really under control, get that breathing under control, you won't have those big breaths to worry about editing out, which is amazing. So that falls under the consistent practice, I guess. This is just from my own experience. What have I done to really, really get that breathing under control? So, yeah, exercise has been huge for me. That consistent practice has been huge for me. Getting really comfortable behind the microphone has been huge. And, the only way to do that is to be behind the microphone. I had a voice coach years ago that said, "You really should start a podcast." And I thought, I have nothing to say. I'm trying to get voiceover work. What do you mean? And he said, "You need to be comfortable behind the microphone." So I did. I started a podcast, took it all down later because it sucked. But I needed to work on being relaxed behind the microphone. And it was very helpful because at that point, I didn't have the consistent work to get that regular practice behind the microphone. And I needed to be able to just get behind the microphone and read and really, really, really work on that. So, starting that podcast, I've told countless people that, in coaching sessions now and when it's on the roles are reversed and anything I've recommended to people, anything that gets you talking behind that microphone is how you get that consistent practice. So, exercise, controlled breathing, controlled exhalation, consistent practice, physical exercise, and hydration. It's really pretty simple. Now, get yourself busy. Get to work. You've got this.